It's time for the View in Your Mirror podcast. I'm Katie Harms, and along with Lisa Rubin, we help you check in and curate the best possible you and the best view in your mirror. We share tips, tricks, and strategies from our 35 plus years in our respective industries. We talk about your day from morning to night and everything in between. We share our uniqueness, relish in our shared experiences. Along the way, we share conversation with fabulous people who give us their own thought-provoking insights. So come along as we help you hone the best view in your mirror. Lisa, Lisa, Lisa.
Good morning, Katie.
It is a beautiful morning. Always fun to be sitting across the table from you.
I know, this is our new thing. This is our new jam.
Our new jam, in person.
In person with these very serious microphones. I feel like I'm a celebrity. Remember, we wanted to be famous. Now we have microphones that look like we're famous.
We'll have to take a picture so that we have reference to how famous we look. I know,
because we can't afford to have it videoed.
Well, we could, but that's a whole nother process of putting something up and then figuring out how to do that
and buying the equipment.
Yeah, a phone, you can video with your phone.
We could. You're right. You have a stand.
What do you would like to take that on, Lisa, I'm going to give it to you.
No, I absolutely don't want to take that on. Okay. That is not my thing.
Okay. Well.
And then I'd have to put more makeup on and not come with my hair wet and curly. And
I love your hair curly.
Everyone does but me.
That's the same with me. Something we share in common. So I was at Rustica.
You were?
Was.
Actually, so was I.
Tell me about it.
I brought a new person there who had never been there before. And we were going to share a treat. Well, you know what I wanted to share, but I didn't really know her. It was like a first date. And so I go, you pick it out. And she goes, well, I really like, I don't remember what she picked, but it was nothing I liked.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, I'm really sorry, I don't like that. And then we settled on the scone.
Okay.
It was a rhubarb something scone. Rhubarb strawberry? Rhubarb something, I don't know. And we put it down and I cut it in half. And I immediately inhaled mine and I'm looking at hers and she's not eating very much of it. But I didn't know her very well. So we couldn't share. I got my iced tea, she got a latte, and then we ended our meeting and we said our goodbyes, and I'm like, that scone is still sitting there, half of it, so I grabbed it and I ate it on my way to my car, but she never knew I did that. If that's the real story.
That's quite the story. Well,
I know.
Mine is not nearly as exciting. I met Jody Mayers at Rustica. For the first time sitting down with Jody. Mm-hmm. So that was a new meeting as well. And so that was kind of fun. But it's just such a great, easy place to be. And I don't know why we didn't think about it, but we didn't sit outside. And it's so beautiful. You can sit outside.
I sat outside.
That's fantastic. Both locations you can sit outside.
I was at the one next to Punch at Bademakai Sky.
Okay.
And I didn't say that right, but that's where I was.
And I was at Edina.
And she was running a little late. So I went into the bookstore and I looked around at the books, which I never do.
Oh, don't you wonder? I sit there sometimes and I wonder how many business deals are going on at Rustica Bakery.
That's for sure. Or people having meetings. Like if I'm going to meet someone for the first time in the summer, that's where I ask to meet.
It's a great place.
Every single time.
Yeah, great place. So many grab and goes. It's just truly, well, we love it, obviously.
Yes.
As our presenting sponsor, we love it. So, Lisa.
Yes, Katie.
We have Kristi Flanagan Villar joining us on the podcast in a little bit. And Kristi is the Vice President of Med Health. And then she has a lot of other, she really is involved in philanthropy at the University of Minnesota for Masonic Children's Hospital, right? And probably more than that, but that's how I've really gotten to know her, other than the fact that I've known her family for a very, very long time. Kristi is just incredible. She's got a business background in fashion, which is interesting. Now she leads incredibly driven teams who, and they are advancing the culture of philanthropy, which I think is really neat if you think about it. So really our whole podcast is going to be in the philanthropic realm. I have a feeling I know who she'd pick for her nonprofit spotlight because really she works in it every day. So, but I thought it would be interesting because one of the things that they do is Fashion Fest. And I've recently gotten on that committee, which is really fun. It's a large committee of really great people, and there's so many moving parts. I talked about Jody Mayers. She is heading up the fashion show part of it. And I want to talk more with Kristi and see how she got to this place, but I know she also has a background from FITM, but on the business side of things. So I thought it'd be fun to spend a few minutes with you talking about the business side of retail and fashion, the business side of fashion, because it isn't just about getting clothes that show up. There's a whole business end of it that is probably not as sexy as we might think it is.
It's not sexy at all. I mean, I haven't owned a store and I haven't had a line, but I've gotten a lot of relationships with people that have. So I've learned a lot over the years about it. There's a lot to say about that. And I think it's going to be a very interesting fall and winter ahead of us.
How so?
Well, I don't want to be like Debbie Downer negative, but I have been telling people that, and you're starting to see a little bit of it, articles and things, that due to whatever tariffs we are going to have ahead of us, it is going to affect the fashion industry in a very big way. Because the things that you are going to see in stores on a normal basis, and fall and winter is generally their biggest season, especially here in the Midwest, they are going to have a hard time getting the merchandise because a lot of smaller vendors, designers, and when I say small, I don't mean tiny. I mean, mid-size to small, are not able to deliver their goods at the prices that they are comfortable with.
Well, we've all heard of tariffs, and that's part of the issue, right?
That is the issue. That is the issue.
Right. And I know I ordered some things a while back this year. It took a long time to get there, and they were stuck in customs because things in customs now are being scrutinized much heavier.
Yes.
So we've got that going on. So things are being delayed. You talked to Becky at Sweet Ivy, who we love and adore, and she is a mastermind. Yes.
And I did talk to her. I didn't really get into that conversation, but they are opening up a bigger space in the Galleria. I'm very excited for her. They're bringing the children's store into the main store.
Littles by Sweet Ivy and Sweet Ivy will be together, which makes a lot of sense.
Yes, and I didn't really ask her those questions, but she's very smart.
But you did ask her if she had
asked her if she was going to have merchandise.
Yeah.
And she said, I have been trying and I've been keeping the stuff basically not in a warehouse, but in her store in boxes. But these stores, have to keep the inventory without selling it. So that's a whole nother expense to the store. But she hopefully is going to have enough merchandise for people to see. And she's smart. She's really smart to do that. I don't know if some of these smaller stores have the money to hold the merchandise and not sell it. And I think, unfortunately, a lot of smaller stores throughout the country are really going to suffer this season if all of these tariffs go through.
Well, and that's one part of it. And then let's talk about the part of manufacturing. Because now you need a whole different segment of population who are working in manufacturing.
Right. I mean, I did talk to someone else in Italy, and, they're very aware of the tariffs that they're going to have, and they're having to decide what are they going to sell and what they're not going to sell. And even if you're doing custom or you're doing small sets, let's call it, of different things, the cost of one dress, let's say, that you would normally retail between $900 and $1,200, add that tariff on, nobody's making any extra money doing that, right? They're actually going to lose money. They have to add that to the cost of the dress. And is their customer going to be willing to spend that kind of money across the board? Or are they going to get stuck with all this merchandise? Or maybe these stores are not going to then repurchase for them for spring and summer. So it's like the domino effect, right?
Absolutely.
And so someone like me who shops everywhere in the world, I'm navigating that right now for my clients and trying to figure out the best places for them to fill the holes in their wardrobe. Remember, for me, I'm not a personal shopper. I'm a wardrobe consultant. So I am adding pieces to their wardrobe, or what are their needs for the season, because women are traveling, women are on overload at work. Everyone's working their little butts off right now, and they're exhausted. They don't want to think about their clothes. And a good example, actually, was last night I got a text from a client, and she's like, I have this on Thursday. I'm like, who's in the audience? I ask her all my questions. She tells me, I said, okay, wear this, because I know it's in her closet. And she goes, nope, I can't. I wore that to these same people. I said, okay, then wear this. And then put this shell under, or do a colored shell so that they can see you on stage. And so she laid out 4 or 5 shells, and I didn't like any of them. Not that I don't like the shells. I didn't like them with what she put. So we decided on what it was going to be. But the point of this conversation is that gives me, okay, she needs some more shells, right? She didn't understand that. But so I'm going to look now in the next week and say, you need to buy these 2 shells for these outfits so that you don't have this issue again. But it's going to be difficult to find that stuff. Mm-hmm. The very basics. And I did go back to someone who does manufacture and design in Italy, and I said, listen, you got to go back to the basics. I mean, if you're able to do that at any point in time and not do it 2 years out, remember, most of the fall stuff you see now was designed and manufactured at least a year ago.
And I think that brings in another aspect, then it's the creatives. What are they designing and what are they thinking of? And going back to the basics, maybe you can't be as creative in what you're bringing out because you don't have the fabrics, or you don't have the ability to get that manufactured.
Right. And I know some people here in the United States that do custom. Julie at Miracature is one of them. And, I said to her a long time ago, I go, start buying those bolts of fabric. Who knows what's going to happen? Because that same woman who is willing to spend a certain price point for a blazer or a suit, but now with the tariffs, what it's going to be priced at, I said it's going to be equal or cheaper to do a custom. Mm-hmm. And I have told 2 of my clients about that, which they would have never considered. And, I have my way of doing that with her, but it's a different way of thinking. Yep, and we're bringing it into the United States, and people are making money here. But I just, it's going to be a very interesting season fashion-wise. You already see in the articles about toys. They don't think that toys are going to be here for Christmas.
Yeah, do your shopping early. And maybe it's time to reevaluate what you're doing for holidays, or, there's always opportunities in every economy to figure different ways of doing things. And so maybe it's more time together. Maybe it's more experiential things with grandchildren as opposed to things.
Taking trips.
Yes. And, as we pivot now to bringing Kristi on, I'm thinking about the ways in which philanthropic giving has probably changed with all the changes that have happened. And let's talk to Kristi about that and much more as we welcome her to the podcast. And here we are with Kristi Villar. I always want to say Kristi Flanagan.
Yeah.
Kristi Flanagan Villar.
Wonderful.
Do you hyphenate?
No, I'm 2 last names, and part of it is I wanted to retain the Flanagan because I love growing up in this obviously Irish Catholic community. And fun little fact, my sister-in-law is Kristi Villar, and she is a softball coach at St. Thomas. So when I married into the family, we actually kind of talked about this, knowing what fields we were both going into. So Yes, the real Kristi Villar is at St. Thomas. The real Kristi Flanagan Villar is at the University of Minnesota Foundation.
Okay, so what's the elevator speech when you meet somebody? What do you tell them?
Let's see. So I fell into philanthropy. I love what I do. I've served at the University of Minnesota Foundation for more than a decade. I have one of the greatest jobs in the world. I get to oversee the medicine and health enterprise. Prior to this, I was at St. Thomas for about 7 years, and I thought that was the greatest job in the world. So by way of background, fell into philanthropy, kind of happenstance. I have a business degree and actually a fashion merchandising degree. But one of the things that I really wanted to do was help people live out their passion. And the way that I was best to do that was really finding an opportunity. I have to give Father Michael O'Connell from the Basilica the credit, who gave me the motivation to say, find a career that you love. And if you want to go into philanthropy, what do you love? And I had said if it wasn't St. Thomas, it would have to be for children's health or health-related causes. And fast forward 20 years later, I've had the best career that I could have ever asked for.
Well, you've brought your best self to it. And I think that there's nothing about you that is not positive and forward thinking.
Most days.
She'll go home privately and have a different kind of day, right? Well, everyone does.
Yeah.
Everyone does.
I do a lot of yoga.
Okay.
I run. That's kind of the focus point. But I think the reality is life's hard. The world is hard, right? We're also gifted so many days on this planet. And I will tell you, the thing that changed for me was when I walked into what's now the M Health Fairview Masonic Children's Hospital and got to see what those families were experiencing. It changed me. There's nothing like your child who is being hospitalized without any kind of certainty that there's going to be a tomorrow. And so that's what really solidified my role. And fast forward again, I've been so fortunate to oversee neurosciences, cancer, the medical school, whatever diagnosis or whatever challenge that you're in, it's that same path. And so the knowing that my treasure or my time can actually help contribute to somebody's tomorrow, or actually a child having the chance to just be a child, that's what was really exciting for me. So I think when the times get tough, where does the motivation come from? That's what it is. If I ever have a really, really stressful day, there's actually I'll just share a little secret. In the Masonic Children's Hospital, we have what's called the Quinn Seymour Chapel. It's one of my favorite projects that I've ever gotten a chance to work on. When we designed this chapel, it was actually with a family that had lost their daughter to a very rare condition. And when you walk into that chapel, it is ecumenical. So regardless of whatever tradition or religion you practice, we have a prayer tree, we have a prayer wall. It's a space to just kind of reflect. And the fact that it's in a children's hospital when there's so much anxiety already going on, it is my calming place. And so that's what I would say has just been kind of the driver. Because, again, they don't have control over what their tomorrow is going to look like. So if there's a chance that philanthropy can play a role in giving that tomorrow, that's what I want to make sure our teams can do.
I just want to sit with that for a minute. It's almost emotional when you put it that way. And what you do, though, Kristi, is you bring that, you've assembled this team of people that you all know the mission, and you all continue to work with that mission in mind. There doesn't seem to be egos, which is very interesting when you're in a hospital setting.
Yeah.
I say that lovingly, being married to a doctor. But there is, and in leadership and in administration and in all the different intersecting. I mean, at times it's got to be truly like herding cats.
Yes. I think the piece that brings me down is when there's misalignment, because that causes just such an energy drain for all parties. Because at the end of the day, if we can have alignment in whatever that outcome is, we're going to get there probably faster. We're going to get there in a more rewarding way, and we're probably going to be more successful if there is alignment. So I think just with the challenges that we've all faced, especially during COVID, now coming out of COVID, that's been one of the things that I've probably struggled the most in this leadership capacity. I will tell you the thing that I'm most proud of is not only the mission, it's the team. And I'm so fortunate to lead this extraordinary team because there is not only such talent amongst them, it is their dedication to the mission. I mean, most of these team members on my team have young kids or they have families, but yet they're showing up at whether it's Wine Fest, whether it's Diamond Awards, whatever it is, they're coming because they see the impact that they're able to have, and they continue to want to drive that role of philanthropy. So I think what I've told them, and I think really what they exhibit every day too, is how do we show up? It is a privilege to serve in this capacity, especially right now when times are so tough. But it's how we show up. And I think it's the collaboration, it's pushing the boundaries of what we've been able to do together. The Masonic Institute for the Developing Brain, the MIDB, that wouldn't have happened had we not had the horsepower of philanthropy saying, no, this is an extraordinary time in child and adolescent brain health at the University of Minnesota. It's almost like that open heart surgery, the first one we did decades ago. How are we going to do this? And it's making sure that we've got the right leaders around the table. But again, checking the egos to make sure, too, we can have a dialogue of how are we going to get to this outcome that we want, and how do we foster a greater sense of collaboration and alignment. It's a little businessy speak, but that's kind of how we've been able to be as successful as we have.
Is it okay to say amen to that?
I'm Catholic, Katie. Yes.
Oh my goodness. What does your day look like? How do you get yourself ready for your day? I mean, you're a busy mom.
Yeah. I will tell you, summer's a little chaotic right now, but I feel so fortunate because I have two teenagers who I love most days. I wake up very early. Right now it's 5:30 just to get like a run in, obviously clear the mind before the day starts. And then right now, Franny is training for her Benilde dance team, school team. And Ollie has Wyzetta football. So I am literally getting each child to whatever early morning practice they have. And then I will start to actually begin the day. And my team knows too, because usually my flurry of emails begins from 6:30 to 8, because it's the first time I have to really kind of map out the day. And then oftentimes, I love being at the McMurray Alumni Center. It's the central part of campus. It's just the hub of the energy throughout the University of Minnesota. So a lot of our office time is really kind of centered around that space. And then usually it's either donor visits, donor meetings, meetings, whether it's at the Clinics and Surgery Center, the MIDB, some of our clinical sites. And then usually, especially coming into late summer and early fall, we will have events. So we will either have grateful patient events, we'll have board activities, board opportunities. We are so fortunate because whether it's Dunkers or the Minnesota Vikings, I mean, there's so much to do in this community that our opportunity to really strike up a conversation is really also who in the community wants to engage in this really extraordinary mission. And so oftentimes the day doesn't really end until 7:30, 8. But most of the time it's not always work too. It's how does this work? How do these conversations that we're having really impact this community? And I think that's the piece that is so motivating. You know, at the end of the day, if not just all that was accomplished internally, but how much was accomplished externally too. So it's kind of a game of Tetris just from a schedule perspective. But I would say it's a balance of internal meetings and external. How are we making sure that we are really showing up for the community in terms of our relationship with M Health Fairview too?
That's a lot. That's good. It's a good lot, but
I feel energized just talking to you. Seriously.
Oh.
I mean, it's like, okay, what other good can we do? So when you started, what events were happening?
So when I started at the U of M, so this was over a decade ago, and at the time we had a very singular focus for our team of building what is now the M Health Fairview Masonic Children's Hospital. We're the oldest children's hospital in the state of Minnesota, but we didn't have that tower until 2014. And so we were technically a floor in the adult hospital. And I give the credit to our leaders that said, no, we are the oldest children's hospital. We kind of deserve our own standalone. And come fast forward, the census is very full. I will say we are known particularly for our leadership in childhood cancer, cardiovascular health. We have one of the top transplant programs in the country too. And so when I started, so much of that focus was we are more known nationally and internationally than we are in our own community because there's so many children's hospitals here. So the events were around how do we capitalize on a relationship, whether it's the Minnesota Vikings, how do we make sure that we have partnerships in the community so we can deliver on Wine Fest to Toast Children's Health. We created Fashion Fest on our own. And how do we make sure that if there are particular grateful families that want to do their fundraising, that we can help them with a golf tournament. We can help them establish a philanthropic counselor board. That is really what our team is committed to. And now we've been able to scale that. And that's where we've really seen the growth happen in the neurosciences space and in the cancer space. And so there's a lot of golf tournaments, I'll tell you that, especially in the summertime. But a lot of, whether it's galas or mixers, I think you're seeing changes also happen in the world of philanthropy post-COVID. People also don't want to come to as many galas as they once have had before. They're more selective on what are they supporting right now. So everything that we try to do has to be mission-centric. It has to have that element of how are we different, how are we contributing to what you find joy in. And I would say, too, we really want to create communities. It's not just a transactional relationship. It is building a family. It is building out a community. And I think in large part, when we started with that particular children's team, that's how we started. And that's when we've been able to scale in an even bigger way throughout the entire medicine and health enterprise. So events, you name it. It was Fashion Fest. It was corporate mixers. It was visiting the Vikings training camp. Scott Hamilton, as a figure skater, when Scott would come to town with his foundation, we would do some activation with their skating team. So it's kind of just, I would say, diverse in terms of who is the leader or who is the partner, and then how can we make sure that the engagement opportunity does contribute towards philanthropy in whatever that looks like for the organization or the donor.
How much of it is right place at the right time?
You know what? If we can tell you the story and the compelling of why, that's a huge part. I think one of the things I'm most proud of our team in terms of where the success has been had to, every gift matters. And I say that from, say, for example, our kids' lemonade stand for the MIDB. They had lemonade stands due to their own fundraising as, 10 and 11-year-olds. They delivered $200, which was so great. This year, we were able to secure a new $35 million gift from the Minnesota Masonic charities. Those are the types of gifts that move the dial, too. So you'll see our team has been, I think the tenure's been pretty strong, too. So we're starting to see more and more of the principal gifts. That's kind of what you're seeing across the country, too. I think people are being more selective, and they want to know what that ROI is. Well, I can't say that we're going to cure cancer today, but we're working very hard to be able to develop those new standards of care. So it is the right time, it is the right place, but I would say the strategy behind it. And some of our biggest donors, that whether they're 5 million, 10 million, 35 million, we did get a couple of those this year, was because of the strategy and the intentionality of what that donor wants to achieve. If they want to help us define what is aging, what is this next generation going to look like, how are we caring for our baby boomers, not only in the Twin Cities, but in greater Minnesota, that particular investment can move the dial and give more life to people while they are here on Earth. And so it is right here, right time, but it also is what's the strategy of what you really want to achieve and what do you want your legacy to be while you're still here?
Yes, and it always seems like there's room for new ideas. Yeah. So how do you balance that out? And when do you say no?
Let me just tell you, that's tough. Both are tough. We're people pleasers. So saying no is not necessarily in our grain or ingrained in our culture DNA, or our DNA. I think we are a team, and I'm proud of all of them because we are so always wanting to deliver on whatever that ask is. But there are times we can't be everything to all people. So what we really try to uncover is what those passion points are. And if we can find the alignment in what that passion point is and then hone in on, okay, what's the greatest opportunity for the biggest impact, that's where we'll maximize that opportunity. We have had to say no. I mean, we are the state's land grant institution too, so access is also critically important. We have to make sure that we're showing up for that. So there are new initiatives that we are launching to make sure that we hit on all those pillars. But again, we can't be everything to everybody. So some of those conversations are a little harder, but most of the time it's here's where we can help you make that biggest impact, where there's a great, whether there's a foundation to build from or launch a new initiative or build out a new space. Oftentimes we can kind of create what does that perfect marriage look like for that donor.
Makes sense. Now you've had some retirements and changes in staff.
Yep.
How are you navigating that?
So I would say, I think if anything, my philosophy has always been maximizing everybody's talent. I love to lean in where there's strengths and really make sure that everybody gets on the right seat on the bus so they feel really good about it. And I think it will help to maybe dispel some of the challenges that could sometimes be caused by the movement of the retirement. I will say, obviously, a dear, dear friend, Elizabeth Patty, retired after 28 and a half years, 28 and a half, and she will not let anybody forget the half. She is staying on with us actually as a part-time colleague, as a strategic advisor. And I'm so grateful to her because her energy, her passion, her history, there's nothing like it. And we've been able to build so much together that I think that's been a little bit of a change for me too, just because she's not always there as much. But the good news is she leaves behind an exceptional team that can continue to rise. So it looks different. Our world also looks different. So I think it's been a balance of making sure that everybody is maximizing their strengths, and we're trying to address maybe the gaps where some of the greater challenges or maybe greater opportunities are amongst all of us.
I think she's happy to be back in that role too.
I think she is too. She gets to do the fun things. Obviously, there's still a good amount of work she's doing, but I think as we think about the future for medicine and health at the University of Minnesota, there's so much ahead, and we're probably going to have to think differently about how we do our work. And so I'm grateful to her because she's going to help me tackle some things that maybe we haven't had the time or the resources to be able to do. So she'll be around for a little while. Yeah.
So you talked about switching focus now to more personal. You talked about your kids. Your husband is he's got a very big and caring job.
Yes. So he works for LifeSource, and I give he and his team so much credit because what they do is tough, and it's organ procurement. But as hard as it is literally giving people second chances at life. And I've been so fortunate to see that in the hospital, and Jason was too before he served in this capacity. And I will never forget some of these families. It changes you. And to be able to meet a family, especially a mother, who maybe has lost her child, and to actually hear her child's heartbeat giving life to another child, there's nothing like it. And the LifeSource team is able to do that. And again, I'm so grateful as a parent, as a leader, obviously, in the medicine and health space, but as a human. I think it is a gift that is really unlike anything else. And I give so much credit to Jason and his team and to Kelly and all of them because it's life's work. And I think that life is the key word in that.
So obviously crazy busy schedules, the two of you, and then talking about getting your kids to where they go. What's your downtime? When and if you get it? What do you like to do?
So it's funny you should ask that question because right now I don't know that I have any downtime. So I'm trying to think of, okay, when I have downtime, what does that look like? For me, I love baseball. I've grown up in baseball. My brother played for St. Thomas. I've always been around that particular sport. So truthfully, when I'm at the ball field, even during intense games, that is downtime for me. I get to cheer on Ollie's team. I get to see a lot of kids that we've gotten to know over the years doing their best, and that is a game of failure, and that's also a really important life lesson. So at the ball field is one place. Watching Franny dance is another, and she has been so fortunate to dance at Dance Esteem, which is a community that's become a second family to us. And now watching her dance at Benilde on a whole nother level has been really fun. So those are two areas that actually, while they're activities, they're actually downtime for me. And I would just say, too, I feel so fortunate to have great girlfriends. There is such power in your girlfriends. And whether they're from high school, whether they're from college, whether they're from, being down the road or what have you, my girlfriends, they are my happy place, too. And we used to take these trips to Montana. We haven't been able to do it as much anymore. We would have the best time at our luxury dude ranch. And those are some of my favorite memories. We won't talk about them on here, but I will tell you.
I want to know which dude ranch.
Oh, it was Arthur Blank's.
Oh, okay. No, different one.
Yes, out not in Livingston, Montana.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So and last thing I would say for downtime, and this is what I love, and this is obviously part of my college degree too. I love giving back to our local fashion community. because that particular community gave so much to me when I was going through college and discerning what I wanted to do next. And so I'm fortunate to have a degree from St. Thomas in business, one from St. Kate's in merchandising, and then actually the experience at FIT in New York. But seeing what the New York industry is and how we're able to replicate some of that here has actually been more of a passion project for me and more rewarding, because while we are a very small but mighty fashion community, there is so much potential that we have to offer here. So that's another place of where I just find kind of balance, just seeing kind of what this up and coming market is going to be able to do in that community too.
How did you decide fashion? Like what put you to do MIT?
So my mom graduated from the Family Consumer Science program at St. Kate's in interior design.
I did not know
She
that.
did. She's a Katie. Yep. So she's a Katie, and she had gone through that program. And all through high school, I had always kind of had a passion for just putting more apparel together, but always more the business side of it. I'm not a designer. And if you want to ask my family, I tried to sew. It wasn't good. It wasn't pretty. So they always said stick to that side too. But when I was looking at colleges, I did know about the St. Kate's, St. Thomas dual program. And so I was able to pursue it. And this is, again, early 2000s. The life of Anna Wintour in Vogue, I always thought I would pursue Anna's job. Real quick did I learn as an intern working in the industry how fast you get really put back down to life. And so when I was out at FIT, I had the greatest experience working for Escada, for Kate Spade, some of these up-and-coming designers, actually working for Aveda out there, even though it was a Minnesota company too. Loved it. Learned the inner workings of how to launch marketing campaigns, how these fashion houses launch their brands. But I will tell you, I'm a Minnesota girl, and that is what I learned, and that's part of the reason I came back. I love this industry, but I'm a Minnesota girl, and knowing that we had Target back here, knowing Minneapolis St. Paul Magazine was back here, when I graduated, I came back and I worked for Deb Hopp at Minneapolis St. Paul Magazine.
Oh, wow.
And that's how everything kind of came full circle. And I've been able to, fortunately, keep one foot in that because I've had great mentors, great friends. She's done a phenomenal job with that publication. We built this sisterhood. Really, I have to give Deb the credit. She built this sisterhood. And then with Allie Kaplan, with Jane, with everybody, I was always on the advertising side. But that's also I learned about kind of the business community that we had too. And so huge kudos to the great mentors that I've had, because they've always been able to kind of help me figure out where to go next. And Deb was a huge reason that I loved being back in this community.
You talked earlier when I was asking you what you wanted to make sure we talked about, and it was at the time you were doing this, not even realizing probably philanthropy was something you wanted to go into, but are there programs for that now?
Yeah.
If somebody chooses to go?
Yes. So both the University of Minnesota and St. Thomas have kind of feeder programs, if you will. I love doing informational interviews just to even kind of spark creativity in people. Philanthropy is one of the coolest jobs because you get to be so mission-centric and you get to surround yourself with people that have similar values. So there are feeder programs over there. The other thing that I would say is we are not only the land of 10,000 lakes, we are the land of 10,000 charities. So even if it is, say, for example, an organization for your own community, chances are there are opportunities to start volunteering. So I literally fell into philanthropy because I had been involved with the Basilica Block Party. And Father Michael O'Connell, fun little fact, we negotiated. I needed to get married. I needed a priest that summer. I didn't need to get married. I wanted to get married.
Let's be clear on that,
19
right?
years later, yes. But we hadn't figured out who was going to marry us yet. And so Father Michael had asked if I would consider chairing his last year with the Basilica. And I said, absolutely, if you would consider marrying us. And so he crossed the river back and went to St. Thomas Chapel for that one. And I was able to serve as one of the honorary co-chairs for the Basilica Block Party. And that's how I learned how to media train, how to have a philanthropic conversation, how to be mission-centric, how to influence others, and really kind of joining that mission or whatever that initiative, in this case, this event was. And I will tell you what Father Michael said to me. What do you love? And I think that's what was really eye-opening for me. And I was so fortunate to go back to St. Thomas, a community that had given so much to me and to our family, worked there for 7 years, helped build the law school, help build some of the new facilities, work with an incredible team with Mark Dienhart and Steve Hepner, And then fast forward, I pinched myself for a second time to go to the university and really start on their children's health team. So what I would say, my advice is volunteer. Volunteer with organizations that you're passionate about and that you really love that community. Ask for informational interviews, because chances are there's going to be opportunities. And even if it's not the perfect role, get your foot in the door, because things always change, things always evolve. And then I would also say, too, influence your community. That's when you start to create movements. And we wouldn't be successful at all today had we not started to surround ourselves with great people just like you, just how we built Fashion Fest. It has started to create a movement, not just about what we're delivering today, but what we're delivering for generations down the road.
And we can't talk about Fashion Fest without talking about Andrea.
Andrea, Joan.
Yes.
She was also a guest in our podcast.
She was?
Yes, she was.
She's the vision.
I noticed that when I was talking to her on the podcast, it was by Zoom. It wasn't in person like we are now. And I sat upright the whole time. Like her presence gives you this, I don't know how to say it, like you just felt.
Well, she's like the most elegant, stately.
Yeah, but everything she
royalty,
says is so
I feel
positive. Like
she is. She's.
And
yes.
I just noticed that I just sat like this the whole time. I probably didn't say much like I'm not saying now, because I'm just listening to you. Because everything you have to say is so important, and it is so well said that I'm just listening, which I usually am not a good listener, but today I am.
Oh, that's surprising to me. I think you're a very good listener.
My family wouldn't tell you that.
Well, I mean, families don't count on any of this, do they? Does your family know what you do? Like, could your family,
You know what?
really know what you do?
I give them credit. So Jason has to play the role of
Well,
development.
he does,
half
but
the-
let's go further back in the family.
So Franny and Ollie do.
Okay.
Because Franny has walked in Fashion Fest, and Ollie, both of them have actually done fundraisers for us. But no, I will tell you a little funny story. I probably had one of the most successful moments of my career after I had started. I think I had closed the first $5 million gift or something, and then we got a new partner. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, this is about 10 years ago, I had never closed a $5 million gift before. It was so special. It was for pediatric heart. And then we got this new partner, and I was riding this high, and I had 2 kids at home, and I get home. Literally, they're waiting at, Mom, I need chocolate milk. Give me chocolate milk. Give me chocolate milk. And I just thought, okay, come right back down to earth. But they see, I think that's the other thing that's so important, especially for Franny. And Ollie gets it too. But I want her to see you can have it all. You can have it all. And, whether it's still working to break glass ceilings or keep going, it's how you do it and how you show up. And so I give them both credit too, because they've started to become a little bit, now they understand more the business mindset. I'm not going to give them something just for the lack of doing it. Like, no more handouts. If you want something, figure out a business plan. So Ollie in particular, he's a little older. He's trying to launch a new car washing business, which is his new thing. And Franny's doing some babysitting. So that's kind of their new initiatives. But he put forth a business plan. He did call a special papa for some maybe capital investment in his business. So we'll see how it goes.
Oh, that's
Is he doing hand washing, like he's going to people's houses and hand? Oh,
it's
detailing.
Detailing on the exterior, but he's got a whole setup. He had the whole plan. I mean, the marketing plan. He did his own flyer. He's got his whole marketing strategy, and I give him credit because he kind of has done this on his own. So
There's a lot of people that would like that.
he'll call you, or I'll give you.
Not me personally, but I know a lot. I mean, when I was growing up, my father had a gentleman that did that. That was his career, and he took space in the Groveland building.
Yeah.
I forgot his name now. He's been gone for a long time. And every Sunday, my dad would drive his car down, and he would sit and schmooze with him.
Yeah.
Like, in those days, that's what they did. And he would detail his car every Sunday, and it was like for $10. But in those days,
Yes.
Well, fast forward, this man never got married, never had children, and my dad, I think, ended up staying in touch with him, and I think he saved every dollar he had.
Wow.
Yeah,
It matters.
What was his name?
moments
I
matter.
forget what his name is. But I remember as
Yeah.
a little girl, like sometimes I'd have to go with my dad, and I
Yes.
was so annoyed. Like,
I
what
thought
am
you were
going
going
to
to tie it all together and say, and he gave it to
No.
M Health Fairview Children's. No, we couldn't get there.
That's okay. Maybe next time.
Yeah,
I don't know what he did with it, but
That's okay.
But
I don't know any. I didn't really follow it, but I remember that
Yeah.
specifically. So there isn't people like that. They don't. They love to have their car detailed, and they don't have to go somewhere. And
So that's his service. He'll come to you.
That's
I
big.
have to drive him.
You have to drive him at this point. Yes.
But that's okay. He
how
needs
is he
to start
handling that
somewhere.
in the winter time?
We haven't got there yet.
Okay,
We'll have
this-
to navigate that. We will have to navigate that. That's going to throw his business model a little.
Yeah.
Something to think
Just
about.
throwing some things
There
out.
you go, yes.
Some things to think
Yes, and if he wants to be a CEO, he's got to be
Yeah.
adaptable to
about.
what the
Might
market
have to rent
wants.
some space. If
Yes.
he's making enough money, he can rent some space.
There you go. All
Just
the things.
saying. Just saying. The entrepreneur in me trying to help.
That's right. That's right. Do you know your superpower?
Oh boy. If I had to put my finger on it, it would be find the joy and lean into the positive. Those would be my two superpowers.
I think
are
I
good
have
ones.
one too. Those are fabulous. I think it's your authenticity.
Oh. I get that from my mom and dad. I
Yeah.
will give them credit.
Yeah. Yeah. I get a little emotional because I know your parents.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. All right. Final thoughts. We, normally have a nonprofit, but talk about some of the upcoming events because, and then how do people give? There's many different ways to give.
So some of my favorite events that are coming up. So Great Minds Couture for Kids just happened. That's for the Masonic Institute for the Developing Brain, the first of its kind actually in the country. If you go to UMF or UMF's website, you can choose whatever area of medicine and health that you want to give to. So I'll send that to you.
So
to
umn.edu.
umn.edu. Yep.
And that will, and then it'll give you some
Yep.
prompts.
The other ones that are coming up, so Fashion Fest is obviously coming up in November, and that supports M Health Fairview Masonic Children's Hospital. And Diamond Awards is actually coming up in partnership with the Minnesota Twins in January, and that supports more of the neurosciences. Those are our two bigger events coming up. But what I would say, too, is go for football. That is a huge partner. We are so fortunate to have such an extraordinary athletics partnership, and obviously with PJ and Heather Fleck here. So we do a lot to partner with their teams too. Row the Boat isn't a public event per se, but it's when our Go for athletes come over and spend some time with our patients and families, which is very, very important before their season starts. So I would say if you had to pick two events, Fashion Fest is coming up in November, and then Diamond Awards is coming up in January. And if you're able to plan ahead, I would give a plug for Wine Fest to Toast to Children's Health. It'll be our 29th year this year, and we've garnered more than, I think, close to $30 million in philanthropic support for pioneering discovery in pediatrics, and that was really started by two physicians. Fast forward, it has become one of the most sought-after food and wine events, charity events in the upper Midwest. So those would be the three if I had to pick them today, but obviously I love all of them, so you can never go wrong with a University of Minnesota event.
If people want to get a hold of you, how do they do that?
LinkedIn is probably the easiest, just because I kind of manage everything there. Obviously, social media on Instagram and Facebook too. But I would say I'm happy to, do informational interviews, even figure out if you want to volunteer or become more involved with one of our philanthropic councils or boards. So again, I would probably just say LinkedIn is the best, just to navigate all the communications. And I'm learning technology. I don't know all the apps. I don't know all the social media outlets, but this is what I know today.
Well, it's a good place to be.
Yeah.
We find LinkedIn to be probably the most solid for getting information and finding information. So, yes, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us.
I'm so honored and so fortunate to just be partnering with you both, and just grateful for all you do for our community, because you amplify some really, really important voices. So
Well,
thank you.
Thank you. Well, and Heather Fleck, also another guest on our podcast
Yes.
early on, and she and PJ have just done amazing things. Truly, their hearts are enormous, enormous. Lisa, you and I, we are on LinkedIn. We are on podcast. Yes, we are. We are on LinkedIn. We are on Instagram. We are on Facebook.
And you can go to our website,
You go to our website.
viewinyourmirror.com, and they will get to see everything.
get to see all of our past guests, get a little more information on
Everything.
us, our sponsors. We thank our sponsors. And we thank you again for being with us. And remember, it is all about what you bring to the table and your authenticity. So find that authenticity and that joy, and find that joy. And look in the mirror and know you bring that to other people, and you are the best version of yourself. Until next time.